My name is Daniel Bennett. I am being baptized. Journey's kind of long, sorta. In 2008, I was home with my wife and we got a phone call from a friend who they needed to come over and use our laundry machines, and we didn't understand why. Well, 7 days before, there had been the windstorm. Ike came through and blew down power lines, and they had been without power for 7 days. We were floored. 7 days without power. Sure, come over, use our air conditioner and recharge your stuff. And we gave them our house, and after that, we came back after dark. They were gone, and the seed was planted to become a prepper. Went through our cupboards. We had about a day's worth of food. It was ramen noodles, and how would we even cook it? And most people don't have food for very long. So the journey started being a prepper. I learned how to do all kinds of things. Gather food, gather water, can vegetables, can all kinds of things. How to make weapons, how to make guns. There was no end to it. My OCD took over and drove me forward. And it wasn't until about 2020 and COVID hit. And of course, Trump lost the election. And I sat down to evaluate where we were and what we needed to survive, as if anything weird happened, any more disasters, more COVID, more Joe Biden. And it wasn't me, it was God. God kind of poked me in the head and said, what about the next day? Because all I could do is do the math out, and I thought if I was rich, we could have 10 years worth of food. But what about the next day? And then God said it. I heard it in my head. You are preparing the wrong thing. And it was like lightning. I was dumbfounded. I'm preparing the wrong thing. I didn't even understand what that meant at first. I grew up a Catholic, born a Catholic, went to Catholic school for 13 years, church twice a week for most of that time. I was saved. I was good, right? I was baptized, went through all the Catholic jargon, all the way makers to whatever I needed to be saved, right? And so I started just by reading the Bible. The Bible reading was excruciating. Realized I was doing sin. I didn't even know what was sin. It was shocking to me how awful I am. And I got through the Old Testament, I went through the New Testament. I read about Peter and how he denied Christ 3 times. And that, again, was shocking to me because I went to St. Peter's Basilica. I thought I knew him. And he was crucified upside down for Jesus. It had to be true, all of it. I think the historical Jesus was alive in me, but it wasn't for a little while longer. In 2021, I went through some neck surgeries, some spinal cord surgeries, and I was recovering. And I came across on YouTube, of all places, a gentleman by the name of Ray Comfort. He's a church person out in Southern California. His Living Waters Ministry, I think, is his church. And he interviews people on the street. And the guy he was interviewing was me. It was me. And I will go through it. I could almost do it verbatim. He asked the gentleman, hey, are you going to heaven? And the guy said, just like me. Well, I hope so. Maybe. Probably. And Ray would ask him, are you a good person? Well, yeah, I think I'm a good person. And Ray says to the guy, well, I could ask you a few questions, and we could determine, or you can figure out, just be honest, I won't judge you, and we'll see where you stand as far as God's concerned. So Ray asked some questions. The first one was, how many lies have you told? Countless. And Ray says, what do you call somebody who lies? Call him a liar. Then Ray asked the guy, have you ever taken anything that wasn't yours? Anything small, doesn't matter what it was, anything of non-value. Yeah. Well, of course, Ray asked him, what do you call somebody who takes stuff that doesn't belong to them? They're a thief. Ray said, what are you? And the gentleman said, just like me, well, I'm a thief. Ray says, no, you're not. You're a lying thief. Then Ray went on, have you ever used the Lord's name in vain? OMG. Well, of course I have. And Ray went on to explain, you know that this is in the Old Testament, that's called blasphemy. And blasphemy in the Old Testament was punishable by death. It was very serious. Would you use your mother's name as a curse word? Well, no, of course not. And Ray points out to him that you wouldn't use your mom's name as a curse word because you love her and you honor her. But the loving God that gave you your mother, you use that as a word that means disgust. Well, my head was spinning by this time. And Ray didn't stop there. He kept going. He went into, have you ever looked at a woman with lust? Jesus said that if you look at a woman with lust, it's the same as committing adultery in your heart. And ladies, this isn't just women. It's women can look at men with lust. And just like the man on the street, I didn't quite understand what that meant. But then Ray explained that you cannot look at pornography without looking with lust. That is the same as committing adultery in your heart. I was cut to the bone. And he didn't stop. He said anybody that's hated anybody, hate is the same as murder. Jesus said that if you hate your brother without just cause, it's the same as committing murder in your heart. It's a thought crime. Well, just like the guy on the TV, my head was spinning, and Ray says, you have told me that you're a lying, thieving, blasphemous, adulterer at heart, murderer at heart, and you said you were a good person, so you're also prideful. You're going to stand before God on Judgment Day, and He's going to judge you against the moral law, His 10 Commandments. How do you think you'll do? Will you be innocent or guilty? Guilty is charged. Well, what happens to the guilty sinner in front of God when you're judged? You get thrown into the lake of fire, according to Revelation. Picked up and thrown overhead, probably. And Ray he asked him, do you know what God did to keep the sinner from going to hell? Now, of course, the guy was like, yeah, Jesus died on the cross. And Ray explained, everybody knows that. That is true. Everybody knows that, but they just don't understand exactly what that means. And if you can get a grip of this, this will change everything for you. Jesus dying on the cross was payment for our sin. God is a holy God. He is a just God. And you can't be a holy God without being just. And God deserves payment for sin. And just like Revelations, the wages of sin is death. And God is going to pay us back for our sin with separation from Him, which is spiritual death. And Jesus died on that cross to pay for our payment. It's exactly like going before a judge. You owe a lot of money for all your speeding tickets, and the judge looks at you and says, Dan, you're guilty. You owe this much money, you're going to jail. And somebody from the audience comes up and writes a check, gives it to the judge. The judge looks at that check and looks at me and says, Dan, you're guilty, but He has paid your fine. Your case is dismissed. That is what Jesus did on that cross. He paid my fine to God, the fine that cost all eternity that I would spend paying it back. And He said at the end of right before He died, He said, it is finished. It is paid for. It is done. And all my sin can be taken away. All I have to do is put my trust and my faith in Jesus Christ and repent of my sins and live life for Jesus. That's it. Didn't have to do anything more than that. That is it. I prayed right there. Wasn't a prayer off the back of a comic book. It wasn't anything. I gave my life to Jesus. I asked Him to take my heart of stone and change it into a heart of flesh. And that is where my story went to. Now I'm here a little bit of time later to celebrate Jesus and get baptized in front of everybody and proclaim my faith for Jesus Christ. My name is Daniel, and I am going public. Thank you.